Hi, I'm Selah. People always told me I had my father's eyes and smile, which I guess was a problem for some people in my family. Not that I realized it back then. I was just trying to get through my senior year of high school without drama. Selah, can you help me with my math homework? My younger sister Vanessa called from the dining room. I seriously don't get any of this algebra stuff. Coming, I said, setting down my phone. I found Vanessa hunched over her textbook, twirling her pencil between her fingers. I slid into the chair next to her. What's giving you trouble? Everything, Vanessa sighed dramatically. Dad said you're super good at this. I'm decent, I said, scanning the problems. Here, let me show you how to approach these. As I walked her through the equations, Mom appeared in the doorway, arms crossed. She watched us with that look, the one that made me feel like I'd done something wrong just by existing. Vanessa, didn't you say you had cheer practice today? Mom asked, her voice sharp. That's tomorrow, Vanessa replied without looking up. Selah, I need you to clean the attic. Your aunt is coming to stay next weekend. I glanced up from Vanessa's homework. But I'm helping Vanessa with... I'll help her, Mom cut in. The attic. Now. Dad stepped into the dining room, car keys jingling in his hand. Everything okay in here? Perfect, Mom said, her voice instantly softening. Selah's going to clean the attic for Aunt Caroline's visit. Dad frowned. That seems like a big job. I can help this weekend. No need, Mom insisted. Selah doesn't mind, do you, honey? The way she stared at me left no room for argument. Sure, Mom. Dad kissed my forehead. Don't work too hard up there. I'll be back from my business trip on Sunday. After he left, Mom's smile vanished. The ladder's already down, and take these boxes up while you're at it. I trudged up the narrow steps, boxes in hand. The attic was dusty and hot, even in early spring. I'd been working for about 20 minutes when I heard footsteps on the ladder. How's it going? Vanessa appeared, glancing around the cluttered space. Dusty, I replied, wiping my forehead. Did you finish your homework? Mom said to leave it for later. Vanessa picked up an old photo album. Hey, this is full of pictures of Dad and some lady who's not Mom. I peered over her shoulder. That must be his first wife, the one who died. He never talks about her. Mom hates when anyone brings her up, Vanessa whispered. Says it's disrespectful. The ladder creaked. We both jumped. What are you doing up here? Mom stood at the entrance, her face unreadable. Just helping Selah, Vanessa said quickly. I found these photos, I added, holding up the album. Is this Dad's first? Mom snatched the album from my hands. That's not your business. Vanessa, go downstairs. After Vanessa scrambled down the ladder, Mom turned to me. You just can't help yourself, can you? What do you mean? Always digging, always trying to be the center of attention. Her voice was eerily calm, just like at Vanessa's recital last week, wearing that dress, doing your hair that way. I was just supporting her. Everyone was looking at you instead of her. Her big moment, and you had to outshine her. Mom, that's crazy. The slap came so fast I didn't see it coming. My cheek stung as Mom grabbed my arm. I've had enough of your attitude. Maybe sometime alone will teach you to think about someone besides yourself. Before I could react, she shoved me backward. I stumbled over a box, falling hard. By the time I got to my feet, she was already at the ladder, pulling it up. Mom, what are you doing? Teaching you a lesson about family loyalty, she said, her face framed in the square opening. Maybe when you come out, you'll think twice about trying to look prettier than your sister. The attic door slammed shut with a terrible finality. Mom! I screamed, pounding on the floor. Let me out! Mom! But all I heard was the deadbolt sliding into place. The first day was the worst. I screamed myself hoarse, but nobody came. There was a small window, but it was too small to climb through, and we lived too far from neighbors for anyone to hear me. On the second day, I found an old water jug and some forgotten Halloween candy. It wasn't much, but it kept me going. Dad called my phone that night, but Mom had taken it before locking me up. I heard the muffled ring from somewhere downstairs. Would he believe whatever story she told him? On the fourth day, the attic door opened. I rushed over, hope surging, only to see Vanessa's frightened face. Selah? She whispered. Are you okay? Vanessa, thank God. Get me out of here. She climbed up hesitantly, carrying a shopping bag. I brought you some food and water. And your charger, but there's no outlet up here. Vanessa, you have to help me get out, I pleaded, grabbing the supplies. She looked over her shoulder nervously. Mom said you're being punished for going through Dad's private things. What? That's a lie. We found those photos together, remember? Vanessa bit her lip. She said you were trying to cause trouble, that you're jealous of me. And you believe that? I stared at her incredulously. Vanessa, she locked me in an attic for days. This isn't normal. I know, she whispered. But when I said that, she got really scary. Said if I told anyone, she'd send me to live with Grandma in Idaho. Listen to me, I said, grabbing her hands. When Dad gets home, he's not coming back until Wednesday now. His trip got extended. My heart sank. Then you need to call someone. Aunt Caroline, one of my friends, anyone. Mom took your phone. She's telling everyone you went on a school trip. What about Mrs. Henderson next door? She'd help. Vanessa shook her head. Mom's watching me like a hawk. Then call the police. This is kidnapping, Vanessa. Before she could respond, a voice called from downstairs. Vanessa? Where are you, sweetie? I have to go, Vanessa whispered, panic in her eyes. I'll try to come back tomorrow. After she left, I sat in the dim light, processing what she'd said. Mom was systematically isolating me, creating a cover story. This wasn't an impulsive act. It was calculated. 2 days later, Vanessa returned with more supplies and news. I talked to Tyler after school, she said, referring to my best friend. He knew something was wrong when you missed the calculus test. Did you tell him what happened? Not exactly, but I gave him this. She handed me a slip of paper with an address. It's where Dad's staying for his business trip. Tyler's going to email him that you're in trouble. Thank you, I whispered, clutching the paper. Vanessa, what Mom's doing isn't just wrong. It's illegal. I know, she said quietly. I found something else too. She pulled out her phone and showed me a video. I was looking through Mom's desk for your phone and found her journal. There's scary stuff in there. About how much you look like Dad's first wife. How it torments her. She needs help, Vanessa. I recorded some of the pages, she continued, and I took these. She handed me several photos of my condition in the attic. Evidence, like on those crime shows. Smart thinking, I said, feeling a surge of hope. But you need to be careful. Mom's clearly not stable. That's why I told Miss Garcia at school that I needed to talk about something important tomorrow, Vanessa said. She's the counselor. I trust her. A noise downstairs made us both freeze. I should go, Vanessa whispered. Dad will be home tomorrow night. Just hold on. After she left, I clutched the precious evidence and waited, making plans for what would come next. My fear was turning to something else now. Determination. Selah? Selah! My father's voice boomed through the attic door, followed by the sound of the deadbolt sliding open. I squinted at the sudden light as Dad's face appeared, horror etched in every line. Dad, I croaked, my voice raw from days of disuse. He climbed up and gathered me in his arms. My God, what happened? Are you hurt? His hands trembled as he checked me for injuries. Mom locked me up, I said, the words sounding surreal even to my own ears. 6 days ago. Eleanor! Dad roared down the stairs. Get up here now! Heavy footsteps pounded up the stairs, and Mom appeared, her face a mask of concern that didn't reach her eyes. James, you're home early. I was just coming to... To what, Eleanor? To let our daughter out of the attic where you've apparently imprisoned her? Dad's voice was deadly quiet. Mom's expression shifted, her eyes darting between us. It's not what it looks like. Selah was being difficult and I... Difficult? I interrupted, finding my voice. I was helping Vanessa with homework. You were undermining me, Mom hissed, her facade cracking. Always trying to turn everyone against me, prancing around looking just like her. Like who? Dad demanded. Like Rebecca, Mom spat. Your precious first wife. Every day she looks more like her and you love it. You've never loved me the way you loved her. Dad stared at her, aghast. You locked our daughter in an attic for nearly a week because she resembles Rebecca? She does it on purpose, Mom insisted, her voice rising hysterically. She's trying to replace me just like she tries to outshine Vanessa. Ask anyone who was at the recital. Everyone was looking at Selah instead of her sister. Mom, that's crazy, I said, stepping toward her. I never tried to— Don't call me crazy! She lunged forward, but Dad caught her arms. That's enough, Eleanor. He restrained her as she struggled. This isn't just wrong. It's criminal. Dad. Vanessa's voice came from the ladder. She climbed up, clutching her phone. I have something you need to see. She showed him the video of Mom's journal entries and the photos she'd taken of me in the attic. Mom's face contorted with rage. You little traitor! After everything I've done to protect you. Protect her from what? I demanded. From having a sister? From being overlooked? From being the plain one, the forgotten one? Mom struggled against Dad's grip. I was always the second choice, always living in someone else's shadow. I won't let that happen to Vanessa. So you locked Selah away? Dad's voice broke. Our daughter? She'll recover, Mom said dismissively. But Vanessa's self-esteem might never have if I hadn't intervened. Intervened? I stepped forward. You kidnapped me. You starved me. You told people I was on a school trip to cover it up. I did what was necessary, Mom insisted, her eyes wild. And I'd do it again. Dad pulled out his phone. I'm calling the police. You can't be serious, Mom scoffed. Over a family disagreement? This isn't a disagreement, Dad said firmly. This is abuse and imprisonment. If you do this, our family is over, Mom threatened. I looked her straight in the eye. It already is. As Dad dialed, Mom lunged at me suddenly, breaking free of his grip. You ungrateful little— Her hands closed around my throat before Dad could pull her off. Vanessa screamed, capturing the whole thing on video. That's assault, I said hoarsely, as Dad restrained her again. Add it to the list of charges. Mom's face twisted with hatred. You'll regret this. All of you. No, Mom, I replied, my voice steady despite everything. You're the only one who's going to have regrets. Miss Bennett, can you describe what happened after your father returned home? Detective Morales asked, her notebook open on the table between us. 3 weeks had passed since my rescue from the attic. We sat in a conference room at the district attorney's office, preparing for Mom's upcoming trial. After he found me, my mother admitted everything, I explained. She even attacked me when she realized she was going to face consequences. It's all in the video my sister recorded. And you're certain you want to proceed with charges? The detective asked gently. Family court cases can be difficult. Absolutely certain, I replied without hesitation. What she did wasn't just wrong. It was criminal. And she's shown zero remorse. She keeps sending these, Dad said, sliding a folder across the table. Inside were letters Mom had written from jail, alternating between blame, self-pity, and hollow apologies. Has she attempted to contact you directly? Asked Mr. Friedman, the prosecutor. She called my aunt's house where we're staying, I said. Begged me to drop the charges, said she'd get therapy. And your response? I hung up. I met his gaze steadily. She had years to get help. Instead, she escalated to imprisonment and assault. The door opened and Vanessa entered with Aunt Caroline. My sister looked different now, more serious, but somehow stronger. Sorry we're late, Vanessa said, taking the seat beside me. My therapy session ran long. How are you doing? Detective Morales asked her. Better, Vanessa replied. Dr. Winters is helping me understand that none of this was my fault. Or Selah's. It wasn't, I assured her, squeezing her hand. Mrs. Bennett's attorney has proposed a plea deal, Mr. Friedman announced. Reduced charges in exchange for mandatory psychiatric treatment instead of prison time. What do you think? Dad asked me, his face drawn with the stress of recent weeks. I think she needs help, I said slowly. But I also think there have to be consequences. She knew exactly what she was doing. The evidence supports that, Detective Morales agreed. The calculated cover story, the journal entries showing premeditation. What happens if we reject the deal? Vanessa asked. We go to trial, Mr. Friedman explained. With your video evidence and testimony, we have a strong case for unlawful restraint and child endangerment at minimum. The assault charge would remain as well. And Mom would go to prison? Vanessa said quietly. Most likely, yes, the prosecutor confirmed. Selah, it's your decision, Dad said. You're the one she hurt most directly. I took a deep breath. I want the full charges. No deal. 2 months later, we sat in the courtroom as the verdict was read. Mom stared straight ahead as guilty echoed through the room on all counts. As the bailiff led her away, she stopped beside our bench. Sela, she said, her voice eerily calm. I hope someday you'll understand and forgive me. I met her gaze without flinching. I understand perfectly, and I will never forgive you. Later that evening, Tyler, my best friend, joined us for dinner at Aunt Caroline's house where we were still staying. How are you holding up? He asked as we sat on the porch after eating. Better than I expected, I admitted. It's like a weight's been lifted. You're the strongest person I know, Tyler said. Most people wouldn't have had the courage to see this through. Dad stepped onto the porch, followed by Vanessa and Aunt Caroline. The real estate agent called, Dad announced. Our offer on the house near campus was accepted. That's awesome, I said, feeling a genuine smile spread across my face. Fresh start. For all of us, Vanessa added, sitting beside me. I still can't believe I'll be starting high school somewhere new. You'll do great, I assured her. And I'll only be 20 minutes away at college. We're going to be okay, Dad said, his arm around Aunt Caroline's shoulders. Their growing closeness over recent months had been an unexpected silver lining. Better than okay, I corrected him. We're going to thrive. As the sunset painted the sky in shades of pink and orange, I thought about how quickly life could change. Sometimes for the worse, but sometimes, if you fought hard enough, for the better. Hey guys, I said, looking at my small but mighty family circle. Do you think our story might help someone else someday? Someone who needs to find the courage to speak up? Tyler nodded thoughtfully. I bet it would. Maybe that's part of your fresh start too, turning something terrible into something good. I smiled at that. After all, the best revenge wasn't just seeing justice served. It was reclaiming your life and helping others reclaim theirs. So what's next for you, Sela? Aunt Caroline asked. I looked toward the horizon, where darkness was giving way to the first evening stars. Everything, I said simply. Everything is next.